The theory that the 1958 FIFA World Cup never happened is one of the most bizarre and controversial claims in sports history. According to this conspiracy, the entire tournament, which was held in Sweden and famously won by Brazil, was fabricated. Proponents of the theory argue that the matches, the stadiums, and even the players' participation were part of an elaborate hoax staged by FIFA and various national football associations. The alleged motivation behind this deception was to maintain the popularity of the sport during a politically and economically turbulent period, and to promote Brazil as a rising football powerhouse. The 1958 World Cup is historically significant for several reasons. It was the first time the tournament was broadcast internationally, bringing the spectacle of the World Cup to a global audience. It also marked the emergence of a young Pelé, who, at just 17 years old, became a global superstar by leading Brazil to their first World Cup victory. Brazil's 5-2 win over Sweden in the final is still celebrated as one of the greatest performances in World Cup history. Despite the wealth of documentation, footage, and eyewitness accounts, the conspiracy theory suggests that the tournament was a fabrication with pre-recorded or staged matches, fake crowds, and media complicity. Supporters of the theory claim that inconsistencies in the broadcast footage, discrepancies in player records, and the lack of verifiable third-party evidence all point to the possibility of a grand deception. Welcome to Conspiracy Fox, where we dive into the world's most outrageous and head-scratching conspiracy theories. Today, we're kicking around the idea that the 1958 FIFA World Cup, the tournament that made Pelé a legend, never actually took place. Could the world's biggest football tournament have been one big hoax, or is this just a case of the conspiracy world going too far? Before we take this theory into extra time, remember that this video is for entertainment and informational purposes only. We're here to explore these theories critically, not to spread misinformation. If you're curious about hidden histories and secret scandals, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more from Conspiracy Fox. The theory. The theory that the 1958 World Cup never happened posits that the entire tournament was a fabrication, orchestrated by FIFA and other global entities to promote football and enhance Brazil's image as a global sports power. Here are the key elements of this conspiracy theory: staged matches and fake footage. Proponents of the theory argue that the matches broadcast during the 1958 World Cup were not live events, but pre-recorded or staged matches played by actors or stand-ins. They claim that the stadiums were either empty or filled with paid extras, and that the footage was carefully edited to create the illusion of a real tournament. Supporters point to alleged discrepancies in the footage, such as inconsistencies in lighting and crowd reactions, as evidence that the games were staged. Media complicity. The theory suggests that the media, both in Sweden and globally, were complicit in the hoax. According to this narrative, journalists were either bribed or coerced into reporting on the tournament as if it were real. The coverage, therefore, was part of a coordinated effort to deceive the public and solidify football's status as the world's most popular sport. FIFA's motivation. The motivation behind this elaborate deception, according to the theory, was to promote the sport of football during a time of global uncertainty. The 1950s were marked by political tensions, including the Cold War, and economic instability in many parts of the world. By creating a successful and dramatic World Cup, FIFA aimed to unite people through sport and reinforce the commercial viability of football on a global scale. Promotion of Brazil. The theory also posits that Brazil's victory was preordained as part of an effort to boost the country's international image and influence. Brazil was experiencing significant political and social changes during the 1950s, and presenting it as a football powerhouse helped to solidify its cultural and geopolitical presence. The emergence of Pelé as a global star was allegedly orchestrated to embody this narrative, turning him into a symbol of Brazil's sporting dominance. Alleged discrepancies and anomalies. Supporters of the theory claim that there are numerous inconsistencies in the historical records and footage of the 1958 World Cup. They point to discrepancies in player statistics, the lack of independent verification of some match results, and supposed contradictions in eyewitness accounts. They also question the authenticity of the tournament's logistics, such as stadium capacities and ticket sales, suggesting that these were inflated or fabricated. Psychological and social manipulation. The theory argues that the 1958 World Cup was an example of psychological and social manipulation on a massive scale. By creating an emotionally compelling narrative of triumph and competition, FIFA and other global actors were able to influence public opinion and foster a sense of unity and excitement during a turbulent time. The successful execution of this fake tournament is seen as a testament to the power of media and propaganda. Critics of the theory argue that it is baseless and absurd, pointing out that there is ample evidence, including footage, photographs, and personal testimonies from players and fans, to prove that the 1958 World Cup did in fact take place. They also note that the logistics of staging such a massive hoax, involving thousands of people across multiple countries, would have been impossible to maintain without someone exposing the truth. Analysis of the theory. Let's break down the theory that the 1958 World Cup never happened. Is there any chance that the tournament that introduced Pelé to the world was a grand illusion? Or is this just a case of conspiracy theories going too far? We'll examine the arguments for and against this incredible claim. Supporting arguments. Inconsistencies in footage and records. Proponents of the theory often point to perceived anomalies in the available footage and historical records. They argue that discrepancies in the details of certain matches, such as changes in lighting and crowd reactions, suggest that the games were staged or manipulated. Additionally, they claim that some player statistics and match outcomes have inconsistencies when cross-referenced with other sources. Media influence and manipulation. The idea that the media can manipulate or fabricate events is not unprecedented. Throughout history, governments and organizations have used the media to control narratives and influence public opinion. The theory posits that the 1958 World Cup could have been a large-scale example of this phenomenon, using the burgeoning medium of television to create a false reality. Suspicious promotion of Brazil. Supporters of the theory argue that Brazil's sudden rise to football dominance, culminating in their victory in the 1958 World Cup, was too perfect to be true. They suggest that Brazil's win was part of a calculated effort to elevate the country's global status, making it a symbol of football excellence and boosting its international reputation. Lack of independent verification. Some proponents claim that there is a lack of independent verification for certain aspects of the 1958 World Cup, such as match attendance figures and the identity of some referees. They argue that this lack of transparency is indicative of a cover-up, with the details being manipulated to fit the official narrative of the tournament. Psychological manipulation and propaganda. The theory taps into the idea that large-scale events can be used to manipulate public perception and foster unity or distraction during times of crisis. The 1958 World Cup took place during the Cold War, a period marked by political tension and social unrest. Proponents argue that creating a successful and exciting global sporting event was a way to divert attention from more serious issues and promote a sense of international camaraderie. Counter-arguments, extensive documentation and evidence. There is a wealth of documentation, including photographs, film footage, newspaper articles, and personal testimonies that verify the events of the 1958 World Cup. The matches were attended by thousands of spectators, including journalists and international officials, making it highly unlikely that the entire event could have been fabricated without someone exposing the truth. Logistical improbability. The logistics of staging a fake World Cup, involving multiple teams, stadiums, and international media, would be incredibly complex and almost impossible to pull off. The number of people who would need to be involved in such a deception, players, coaches, officials, media personnel, and fans, would be enormous, making it highly unlikely that the truth could be kept secret for over 6 decades. Eyewitness accounts and player testimonies. Many players and fans who attended the 1958 World Cup are still alive and have shared their experiences of the tournament. These personal testimonies, along with interviews and memoirs from the players themselves, provide compelling evidence that the event did take place as recorded. The idea that all these individuals were part of a coordinated hoax is implausible. Consistent records across multiple sources. The official records of the 1958 World Cup are consistent across multiple independent sources, including FIFA, national football associations, and media outlets. This consistency makes it difficult to argue that the tournament was fabricated, as it would require the cooperation of numerous independent organizations and individuals across the globe. Cultural and historical impact. The impact of the 1958 World Cup on football history and global culture is well documented. It marked the beginning of Brazil's dominance in the sport and the rise of Pelé as one of the greatest football players of all time. The idea that such a pivotal moment in sports history could have been completely fabricated strains credulity. Probability rating. Chances of the theory being real, 5%. Chances of the theory being fake, 95%. In conclusion, while the theory that the 1958 World Cup never happened is an intriguing example of how far conspiracy theories can go, it is almost certainly not true. The extensive documentation, consistent historical records, and the sheer logistical impossibility of staging such a massive hoax make this theory highly unlikely. The legacy of the 1958 World Cup endures because it was a real and transformative moment in sports history, not because of any elaborate deception. If you've got your own thoughts on this theory or want to share some other sports conspiracies we should explore, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Conspiracy Fox for more deep dives into the world's strangest theories. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.